Serious, Americans of Reddit, what do you dislike the most from American culture? Celebrity worship. I lump this in with a broader issue of people mentally living more in other places than where they are. Like, people spend so much time focusing on places far away from them rather than their own locality. And a big part of it is how our media is structured. Like, it's been a lot easier for me to hear about Kanye West getting divorced than it is for me to know who is running for school board, or what construction they're doing on a highway. I don't know Kanye West, and I don't care whether he's married or not, but it's where the news is. It's dissolved a lot of the notion of community. People aren't tied in locally, they're tied in nationally, so local stuff gets overlooked and missed while people follow the moves of people that really wouldn't have any place in their life otherwise had it not been just delivered to them. We don't mind having someone get hurt or killed on a TV show, but heaven forbid we see a naked body in a non-sexual way. The coupling of ignorance and arrogance. Yep. People mistake being loud and confident with being right. The fetishization of backbreaking work, being stressed, sleep-deprived, etc. Conversely, the demonization of the path of least resistance. They say the Americans have a great work ethic. I say they have no choice. How divisive our politics are. It's very extreme here, and I think a lot of people from outside the US don't realize how bad it actually is. I know people who have cut off other family members for disagreeing with them politically, on both sides of the political spectrum. Having one disagreement can lead to a brawl here. It's ridiculous. We can't even have a civil political conversation anymore. They all turn to fights. I'm not directing this to one side of the political spectrum, as I have seen both sides act like this. Our political system sucks. There are different realities now due to the media. Want to believe X? There are plenty of articles that say X definitely happened. Want to believe Y? Same. Rage bait articles confirm biases and the division grows deeper. I now find it impossible to have conversation with certain peoples because their reality is based on complete nonsense. I'm gonna borrow an Isaac Asimov quote from 1982 because it conveys it so well. Greater than there is a cult of ignorance in the United States, and there has always been. The strain of anti-intellectualism has been a constant thread winding its way through our political and cultural life, nurtured by the false notion that democracy means that, my ignorance is just as good as your knowledge. This quote is popular because everyone thinks it favors them. Haha. I hate the commodification of everything. Every hobby has to be a side hustle, like, I just want to play guitar. Why is there pressure to be a famous rock star? I like building things, but I feel the societal pressure to sell product. Seems like, maybe, other places in the world aren't so focused on the money-making possibility of everything. Oh good one. I remember when I fell into this trap. I've sewn all my life, and am pretty good at it. Just what you'd expect from someone with a lot of practice. And about 15 years ago, I made this one bag that everyone went nuts over. So I started making them for friends, and people started paying me to make them, and eventually, I had so much business that I could barely keep up. I was making decent money at it, but I was also a full-time engineering student, a mom to a toddler, and fresh out of the military trying to get acclimated to civilian life again, so it was not a good thing to have that much side hustle at that time. My anxiety spiraled out of control and it got to the point that I couldn't even look at my sewing machine for like 5 years after that without feeling anxious. The commodification of everything sucks. Just because someone is good at something doesn't mean they have to make money off it. I really can just sew random shit for myself and my friends, and it's really okay if that's all it is. People, mainly the government, wanting to put a band-aid on a symptom rather than actually fixing the core problem. Band-aids can be sold. A solution is bad for sales. I have always appreciated the drive for individualism. It's what gave the mystique of the American cowboy. But we've taken it to an extreme beyond individualism and into selfishness. Consider the example of wearing masks during COVID. I don't want a government strong enough to force everyone to wear masks, but I don't want to live with people so selfish that they refuse to wear masks even though it will benefit society as a whole. Our cultural individualism has given rise to a cultural narcissism, which is incredibly less palatable. Weddings. Many people that get married have an engagement party, a wedding shower, a bachelorette party, and a reception. And they expect gifts and a huge financial outlay for these things. The logic seems to be, I'll have a wedding, and everyone will have to buy me a ton of shit and spend a bunch of money too. It's to the point where they just give you a list to buy things from, a registry, and you're expected to write a check to attend, to offset cost. That's 4 gifts for a party you're throwing yourself. Ridiculous. And that's just as a guest. If you're in the wedding party, you're expected to buy special outfits you can never wear again, pay to get your hair and makeup done, go to a rehearsal dinner and buy more fucking gifts. The entire culture of spending an insane amount of money to throw a mediocre, cookie-cutter party with everyone trying to outdo each other is just ridiculous. If I went to every wedding and associated parties with expected gifts, my kids wouldn't have college funds. And before you ask, I got married at the courthouse and had a few folks over for a no gifts potluck at my house afterwards. I have earned the right not to participate. This is the reason I prefer funerals. They are much quieter, good food, no unnecessary fashion wars, recipient is satisfied in most cases. Oh, God. The general feeling of entitlement people seem to have here, like they're more important than everyone else. Examples. People being rude to retail employees because of some very small inconvenience. I'm sure people are rude in other parts of the world too, but we've got people calling the police because they're being told they have to wear a mask to walk into a store, or throwing a fit because they had to wait in line. You're not that important. Calm down. People getting in fights over political views because the fact that someone else thinks differently than them bothers them to the point that they get into actual arguments over it. You're allowed to think differently than someone else. Is our political system perfect? No. It's really flawed, and that's an entirely different conversation right there. But that doesn't mean you need to go threaten someone's life on Facebook because they didn't vote for the same candidate that you did. Calm down. Literally any instance where someone has excessive showers or parties relating to having a baby. Nobody gives a fuck what your baby's gender is, but people in America are literally starting wildfires and exploding shit because apparently even your baby's gender is a source of attention. Calm down. People never seem to run out of ways to try to convince themselves and everyone around them that they're so important. Not saying these things don't happen in other countries, but America is becoming more and more centered on all this. Look at me, look at me, look how important I am. Crap. Asterisk how we confuse nationalism with patriotism. Asterisk, hero, worship. Asterisk consumerism. Asterisk willful ignorance. Greater than asterisk, hero, worship. When the ads came out calling doctors, nurses, and essential workers heroes, I told my friends it will be like the military vet treatment. All grand gestures, maybe a small discount here and there, but nothing to improve anyone's situation through legislation. Color me shocked when that happened exactly as I said. It seems like the only heroes anyone in government is willing to help if the police. For fuck's sakes, we still have unpaid firefighters servicing many parts of our country, and EMTs are paid barely above minimum wage. 1. Serious political division. It's actually kind of frightening at times on both sides. 2. A workaholic culture. You work crazy hours here and you do it for your entire life. 3. Lack of government assistance. If you're poor you can basically go fuck yourself here and no one cares. It's a dog-eat-dog world. The recognition of 2 has been a huge relief for me. I have struggled with this for as long as I can remember. I never understood how people survived on only 2 weeks off a year and a handful of 3-day weekends. Now that I'm understanding that this climate is truly unhealthy, everything makes sense. People seem to think everything is a personal attack on them and they are so oppressed or mistreated. It is getting pretty old and Reddit seems to be the soapbox for it lately. People are starting to treat politics like religion. And as someone who is sort of old and remembers what it was like when everyone barely tolerated politics and in politicians, it's really pretty fucked up. The main reason it's scary is because now everyone is politicizing shit that was never political. When I was a kid, my ultra-conservative grandfather would have almost certainly had a stance against police violence and police brutality. If he were alive today, hard to say what he would think. Same thing with racism. Back in the 80s there weren't any debates about racism. Racism is bad and it has no place in America. Period. Ronald Reagan said that shit. Nowadays talking about racism is worse than actual racism to a lot of people because of politics. FFS, even medicine is political these days. Thing about the police brutality thing. most people are still against it. There's just a lot of misinformation being peddled about recent events by both pro and anti-police types. The lust for punishment and vengeance. It's throughout the justice system, schools and parenting. It doesn't work. There's a slow, small movement in schools, my district anyway, for restorative justice. Man, it takes a long time, but it can help both parties come away without burnt bridges and some life skill in how to mend a relationship. I agree with a lot of the comments posted here, but I'd like to post something different. A lot of people treat the US Constitution like a sacred document that can only be added to or changed, and some people don't even want to do that. You talk about removing anything, even ones that entirely unnecessary like the 18th Amendment, the Prohibition Amendment, the one that was repealed, and people throw fucking tantrums. Asterisk asterisk, they are called amendments for a reason. Asterisk asterisk. The Constitution was meant to be changed, amended, over time and not kept as a static and immovable set of statutes. I mean, for fuck's sake, no changes have been made to it since 1992. It's been almost 30 years. We have proposed amendments from the goddamn 18th, 19th and 20th centuries that still get debated about, but we can't ratify a fucking equal rights amendment? Asterisk so. Fucking. Stupid. Asterisk. Edit. Originally I had put it was 20 years since 1992. It was a typo that asterisk asterisk many asterisk asterisk people mentioned. I changed it. What would the founding fathers think? Bro, they didn't know what dinosaurs or germs were. Owning slaves and marrying child brides were seen as the norm. Why the hell would their opinion on video surveillance or how many rounds should be allowed in a clip or what constitutes a hate crime be of any importance? The government spending. We could be a utopia with a little bit of money management on the spending of our taxes, for God's sakes. Wouldn't it be great if we did away with corporate welfare and stopped giving free money and handouts to industries that don't need them and don't reinvest said money back into America? We should try that sometime. I'm not a fan of loud, fat, entitled, opinionated, ignorant people who get their world perspective from highly biased news sources such as Fox News and CNN. I grew up around a lot of those people and it motivated me to travel more to see how people really are in other countries. The constant victim culture and rampant self-importance. The victim is the new messiah in this fucked up cult, religion. Healthcare. Breaking Bad is a TV show that literally could not happen in most developed nations because no one would need to hustle to pay for medical care. We've been brainwashed to think that this is the right way to do things. People are finally starting to wake up to the idea that no one should need to be in debt forever just because they had a stroke. The fact we think the world revolves around us. After moving abroad, it doesn't. I've seen this so many times in the country where I live. Gringos feel that they are more important and should be given priority in everything because they spend money. Guys, everyone here spends money. The fact that healthcare is a privilege and not everyone has access to it. After traveling a bit, most of it to be honest. The older I get, the more it seems like our entire culture is based around consumerism, and being fat and ignorant.
Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.